منذ ذلك اليوم ليل نهار بسواعد المصريين في واحد من أكبر المشروعات التنموية التي شهدها العالم. ودعا الرئيس كافة المصريين.
Welcome back. That was part of the documentary film on the history of the Suez Canal, 150 years of the history of the Suez Canal. This is very important part of the world that's been essential, integral to the global trade, to the global economy, its geographical position, its strategic position is so important, linking continents, and again, be it strategic when it comes to defending the country, when it comes to global trade, the global economy. Now, of course, there is a new Suez Canal, and of course the economic zone, which shall bring, God willing, a lot of good for our country. Again, that was a documentary film on 150 years of the history of the Suez Canal. When we saw that also historic moment, Rana, we never forget when the late President Nasser announced the nationalization of the Suez Canal. Dear viewers, we now have with us here on Nile Cruise Mrs. Amira Sayyid Ahmed. She is a journalist and water issue activist and also a member of the World Youth Parliament for Water. Thank you very much, Mrs. Amira, for joining us.
I'm honored to be with you.
Thank you.
Amira, it's a pleasure to have you with us in today's episode of Nile Cruise, of course. And as Mohammed mentioned, of course, congratulations to all Egypt and all Egyptians. It was a wonderful, it was a part of the film marking 150 years on the inauguration of the Suez Canal. And of course, it's worth to mention that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi opened the new Suez Canal. He inaugurated it, of course, in 2015. I was there, Mohammed. I was reporting there, yeah.
Wonderful.
And it was a wonderful experience to be part of this very important event that was taking place here in Egypt. And President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, a very important part of his speech was that we Egyptians here are showing the Egyptians and are making sure that Egyptians are the pharaohs and are like the pharaohs, because we decided to finish this in a year, and it was done in a year and inaugurated in a year. Back again to you, Amira. Of course, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi inaugurated 1,300 greenhouse facilities established over an area of 10,000 faddans in Marsa Matruh Governorate in Egypt's Western Desert as part of the national project to build 1,000 greenhouses to meet the needs of 20 million of the country's 1 million citizens. What are the 100 million citizens? What are the positive aspects of the initiative, and how can greenhouse save water consumptions in agriculture?
Yeah. First, let me say that the Suez Canal in general, it is a historical symbol for Egyptians. And besides its economic benefits, really Egyptians are so proud of this canal because it symbolizes their struggle throughout the years. And definitely the new Suez Canal plays a pivotal role in the development process here in Egypt, and it's part and parcel of the development plan of the Egyptian state. And definitely, as you mentioned, regarding the greenhouses, now we have to say that the water shortage or the water challenge now is a global challenge, not only in Egypt, but in all countries worldwide. But in Egypt here, actually we have taken many steps forward in order to address this challenge. As you mentioned, the greenhouses project is of paramount importance, and we need to adopt the modern agriculture techniques that save the water consumption, especially when we are talking about the crops that consume large quantities of water. And we have 3 phases for this mega project. And even, by the way, the farmers, they said that we are part of this national project. They are not marginalized. So I think on agricultural, economic levels, this project is a step forward, and it will leave a mark in this sector.
Right, Mrs. Amira. World Youth Parliament for Water.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that group, and we understand that your goal is that youth voices be heard by decision makers
Yes.
in your respective countries. Again, this is an international
Yeah.
group, the World Youth Parliament for Water. Talk to us about your
Yeah.
participation there.
Actually, the World Youth Parliament for Water is a youth network that brings together young people from across the world. We have representatives from more than 80 countries worldwide. The General Assembly of this parliament is being held or takes place every 3 years on the sidelines of the World Water Forum. In general, the World Water Forum is the biggest water-related event, and it is organized by the World Water Councils, and many decisions relating to the water sector are being taken in this important event. This event is, as I mentioned, it takes place every 3 years. And last year, I was so honored to represent Egypt, and I got selected as Egypt's representative in the World Youth Parliament for Water. In this parliament, we seek to enhance first intergenerational dialogue, and also to enhance the dialogue between young people and decision makers. And we have to say that last year in the World Youth Forum in Sharm el Sheikh, which is the biggest youth event here in Egypt, the World Youth Parliament for Water was present, and we organized a workshop within the framework of this important event. And actually, the World Youth Forum invited the president of the World Youth Forum from the US, and we have the representatives of the continents from Africa, Europe, and Latin America, and me from Egypt. So I think that it's very important to involve young people. If we are talking about the empowering young people, they are the future leaders. I think they are today's leader. And since this issue, the water shortage, is a global challenge, so it's very important to give them a chance to voice their vision and concerns as well.
Indeed.
Amira, by 2030, 75% of the world population will suffer from water scarcity.
Yeah.
1.8 million will be hit by drought.
Yeah.
24 to 27 million will be displaced as a result of water scarcity. What are the implications of such alarming numbers?
Yeah, scary numbers, Rana, really.
Yes. Definitely, definitely. According to the Global Risk Report, the issue of water scarcity now is among the top 5 risks that are facing the whole globe. So this requires a collective actions in order to face this challenge. It's like, we can say, it's like a monster that's haunting the whole continent. But definitely when we are talking about, for example, Africa, this issue is more challenging due to the limited water resources and the growing population. Therefore, it's very important to enhance cooperation, and we have to involve all sectors. We have to foster partnership between private and public sector. Civil society also should play a major role in this issue. Raising public awareness is also of paramount importance. For example, when we are talking about the climate change and its impact on water scarcity, many people say that the issue of climate change is an elite issue. So we have to explain the impact of this issue on people's daily life in order to shape the public opinion, a matter that will also cast a positive shadow on their behavior toward this issue. Definitely, the government should, the political will is very important in order to address this problem, but also we need to raise public awareness. Yeah.
Wonderful, Mrs. Amira. And let me ask you about mega projects in Egypt designed to save water. What do you consider are the most important?
Yeah. Actually, here in Egypt, the Irrigation Ministry organized a global event, an international event called Cairo Water Week. The second edition of this important event took place last October. In this event, we found that the key water challenges are being highlighted, and also we found that we invite experts from other countries in order to share knowledge and benefit from the expertise of other countries in facing this challenge. Also, there is a competition for farmers. We honor the best practices of farmers, so in order to save water. As you mentioned, the project of green houses is also another important project. And now we find that many awareness campaigns launched by the Irrigation Ministry target school students. We have also to raise awareness among these students. Also, we find like the water saving tapes now. We have many ads talking about this, and they are available, by the way, at affordable prices. So I think there are many steps are being taken now in Egypt in order to address this issue. Yeah.
As 40% of the world population are youth, water scarcity will affect young generations the most of course, in the near
Yes.
future. How can we prepare youth for this?
Mhm.
Or are there any actions that will be taken not so youth do not face this problem?
Yeah.
Because what I expected, this is gonna be
Yes.
somebody is gonna handle this,
Mhm.
so you don't have problems in the future.
Yeah. Definitely, as I mentioned, that young people should be given a chance in order to voice their vision and concerns. And by the way, Africa, they say that Africa is the youngest continent in terms of its population makeup, because youth constitute the majority of its population. And we find that in Egypt's vision 2030 for Sustainable Development Goals, also an African Agenda 2063, we find that these agendas stress the paramount importance of involving youth and solving the problems that facing Africa. Definitely, the water challenge is the biggest challenge facing Africa. And also in the Arab Week of Sustainable Development, we found that the Arab League Secretary General, Dr. Ahmed Abul Ghait, he said that water challenge is the biggest challenge now facing the Arab region. So it's very important to give them a chance, not only to voice their proposal, but also we have to provide smart solutions. And I think that entrepreneurship plays a major role in this issue. For example, we have hydroponic farming and all these, we can say, solutions, smart solutions. We have to stop speaking about just the impact of water scarcity. We have to look for solutions. And I think that we have many young people, promising young people who have creative ideas through numerous startups. And I think that the role of entrepreneurship will be given top priority in the upcoming period. Yeah.
I really liked it when you talked about climate change, and you were implying that we should take this very seriously. So many experts now think that journalists should be trained on
Yes.
how on covering more of climate change issues, and how to cover them, and raise public awareness about the importance of climate change. Please elaborate for us on that.
Let me say that the issue of climate change itself is a scientific topic, and we found that it's filled with many scientific information, and there are different scenarios regarding the impact of climate change between marginalization and exaggeration. How media portray the climate change is very important point. And let me say that as a journalist, I'm not from scientific background. I found difficult first to understand the issue of climate change itself, to understand the scientific jargon. So we have first to communicate with scientists and decision makers to understand what is this issue, what's its impact on people's daily life, and then we can simplify this information to the public in order to drive collective actions. So I think the role of journalist, he is not just an observer, he's a problem solver, he's a link between those who are specialized in this file and the public. Therefore, it's very important to train more journalists to be able to write in-depth article to improve the media reporting in this field. We need effective and objective media reporting. Yeah.
Okay, Amira, Egypt is celebrating 150 years since the inauguration of the Suez Canal, of course. What does this important water canal mean to you as an Egyptian?
Yeah, definitely, as I said, that it is a historical symbol for all of us of Egyptians. It's a symbol of the Egyptians' struggle. And actually, now the Suez Canal is part and parcel of the development plan of the country. And we find that the new Suez Canal also played a major role in promoting the economic situation here in Egypt. And due to the ongoing and tireless efforts of the government, we find that it keeps its international ranking, and we find that also the services offered to ships are being improved. And we found that in the celebration, the head of the Suez Canal Authority said that so far, since the inauguration of the canal until now, more than 1 million ships has passed through this canal. And we have also to shed light on the importance of this, the new Suez Canal, and developing Sinai. It is a link between Sinai and the Nile Delta, and the irrigation ministry said that it will help irrigate from 7,100 to 100 fedans in Sinai, and it will help establish integrated communities in Sinai, and this is definitely a top priority for the Egyptian government. Yep.
Right. You've traveled to more than 16 countries, is that correct?
Yes.
Could you tell us, of course, part of your efforts in the World Forum on Water, Youth Forum on Water? Do you remember the 16? Can you say them out
Yes.
without any confusion?
Actually, 3 countries from these 16 countries were when I was in the first year of college, because
Okay.
I was among the top 10 achievers of ثانوية عامة, these countries. So I traveled to Europe as a reward for us. But when I started my career journey, my first trip was to Indonesia. I was invited by the Indonesian embassy here in Egypt to write a story about tsunami tourism, how they managed to turn this dilemma into
Wow.
accomplishment. And really, I traveled to Achia, which is the closest area to the epicenter of the earthquake that took place before tsunami. So this was my first trip as a journalist. Also, I traveled to India to cover the Global Partnership Summit. During this summit, I was invited by the Commonwealth Youth Council. And during this summit, all decision makers enhanced the paramount importance of fostering smart partnerships in order to ensure better future for the upcoming generations. And recently, when I become more interested in the water file, I traveled to Brazil after I got selected to represent Egypt in the World Water Forum, the 8th edition of the World Water Forum. And actually, this is the most important step in my career journey, because this was the biggest water-related event, and there I met the decision makers from many countries worldwide, and there I learned that we have to deal with this issue from a broader, holistic perspective. If we need to find tangible or effective solutions, we have to deal with it from a global perspective, because as I mentioned, that this is a global a challenge. And definitely I was also proud to be a speaker at the World Water Forum at the World Youth Forum in Sharm el-Sheikh last year. Also, I took part in the Middle East Mediterranean Summit in Switzerland last year. I represented the Egyptian youth as well. And we also talked about the environmental challenges and how to address them within the framework of the Sustainable Development Agenda of the UN and also the African Union. Also, I can remember that I traveled to Kuwait recently this year. I launched an initiative called Journalism for Sustainable Development. Through this initiative, I call for further activating the role of journalism in promoting and achieving sustainable development goals. And I was honored that my initiative got selected among the best 10 initiatives in the region this year. Yes.
Wonderful.
How were you chosen as a member of the World Youth Water Parliament, Amira? And tell us more about you being a president of the water session in the World Youth Forum in Sharm el-Sheikh. Of course, a very important role that everyone dreams to be part of. How were you part of it?
Yeah. Actually, as I mentioned, that the Egyptian state here, it gives top priority to empowering young people and giving them a chance to voice their concerns and visions regarding all the challenges facing not only Egypt, but the whole world. So the World Youth Parliament for Water got selected last year to organize a workshop tackling the issue of water scarcity in the wake of climate change. So we talk about the climate change and water scarcity, and definitely it was a great honor for me. This event has a special place in my heart. So I traveled many countries worldwide, but really this event is very important because you can, I believe that such spontaneous face-to-face meetings helps to lay vision towards our common future. And also it helps to enhance not only the intergenerational dialogue, but also the dialogue between young people and decision makers. And I remember that our workshop was attended by the irrigation minister and the environment minister, and they listened to all our proposals. And actually, I was so happy to take part in this important event. Yes.
Wonderful. So I was enjoying listening to you when you were talking about the countries that you visited and the tasks that you achieved. But so far, I've got only 5. I want to know the rest of the 16. I have Indonesia, and I have India, and I have Brazil, and I have Kuwait. So yeah, can you?
Okay, as I told you, many countries I visited.
When you were
around
young,
3
yeah,
countries when,
yeah,
before I started my career journey as a journalist. But also besides Indonesia, Brazil, and Switzerland, I also visited Italy, yes, and Italy as well. Yeah, I visited Italy as well as part of the Middle East Mediterranean Summit that took place last year. And I always believe that such giving youth a platform to voice their concerns and to share knowledge, definitely it's a step forward. I always believe that what unites us is much bigger than what separates us. So it's very important to enhance such dialogue and giving a chance to young people to be involved in the key in the decision-making process. Yes.
Yeah, and usually the response to this question cannot be diplomatic, but I'm going to ask you this. So what's the most beautiful destination that you visited in your view?
I always leave Egypt, by the way. Sharm
Yeah,
el-Sheikh,
sure,
it
sure.
has
I was going to say
special
besides
spirit.
Egypt.
Yes,
Yeah, I was
yes.
going to say besides
And this is
Egypt, of
frankly
course.
speaking, I'm not
Yeah,
diplomatic or something.
yeah.
This is the truth. But what left a mark in myself, my visit to Indonesia. Actually, they suffered a dilemma. Tsunami, it's one of the dramatic incidents that took place in the human history. But how these people managed to turn this disappointment into an accomplishment, really, it was very impressive and was very inspiring. I met the families of the martyrs, and they told me how they cooperated with the government in order to promote tourism after this dramatic incident. Actually, they give a lesson to all people worldwide. We all suffer. There are many problems in all countries, but this is not the end. We have to combine everything. There is always hope. When there is a will, there is a way. And actually, they managed to increase the tourist rates in Indonesia thanks to this dilemma. Yeah.
Amira, I want to ask you. You have participated in many water events locally and internationally, and you have traveled to more than 16 countries. Of course, Muhammad made you mention country, each and every country actually.
And the number on the rise, by the way.
What can you tell us about the Upper Egyptian girl who came from Aswan to prove that Egyptian women are capable of achieving a lot? And of course, you're proud to all Egyptians, and it's worth to mention that, of course, you're amazing. And
actually, I was born in Aswan, and all my family is from Aswan, and my father always give me like a chance to express my opinion since I was a child.
Sorry to interrupt you. Is your father your main support, or is your entire family your
The
main?
entire family, actually. But always I say that father is his daughter's hero, biggest hero. So, but my old family, by the way, I found many girls in Upper Egypt now. They are breaking taboos. They are now, you can say that, are taking leading positions in many male-dominated careers. Not only me, but we have many shining examples of girls who managed to leave a mark in different sectors. But regarding my personal experience, I found a complete support from my family. As I told you, I traveled abroad when I was only 16 years old, and my family always support me to take many steps forward. And even when I choose my college, okay, it's up to you. You have to choose your university. This is your career.
So what did you study?
Actually, I graduated from ثانوية عامة, but I entered Al-Azhar University. I studied simultaneous interpretation at Al-Azhar University, and also I studied at the American University in Cairo. I studied media translation.
Wow.
Yes.
MashaAllah.
Yeah. Then I started my career at the Egyptian Gazette newspaper, which is the first English language daily in the Middle East, and now I'm senior editor of local news, besides my work as Egypt representative at the World Youth Parliament for Water. So I think that the Egyptian women in general, and the Upper Egyptian women in particular, they can do anything now. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay, Mohammed, we wrap up this segment.
All right, and on behalf of Rana and our dear viewers and myself, we thank you very much, Mrs. Amira Saeed Ahmed, journalist and water issues activist, member of the World Youth Parliament for Water. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. We enjoyed it.
I'm honored to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Amira, so much. Dear viewers, we have now a very important report about the 28th Arab Musical Festival, which took place here in Egypt from the 1st to the 12th of November, and we'll be back again, dear viewers. Stay with us and don't go away.